All right, I want to welcome everyone to the Transportation and Circulation Committee. We are now officially started. It is May 16th at 6 p.m. Deborah Howe is our chair, but she has no voice tonight. I am a committee meeting and I have a little voice tonight. So we're going to go this direction. The roll call, Deborah Howe, present. Tom Cross.
Here.
Present. Trish Bartell, present. Jeff Bartell, nope. Jeff Krebs, not present. Jim Hill, not present. Lynette, present. Any announcements from committee members? Lynette or Tom? Are there any public comments for items that are not on tonight's agenda? Nope.
There will be a spot on the agenda specifically for the traffic concerns. If you're not sure when to come and speak up.
Yeah.
That will be as item C in the agenda.
Yep.
Item 5C.
It's coming.
About 5
But
minutes.
About 5 minutes.
Okay, cool. It said street 110. I've been standing out there for the last 4 days.
Sit down.
But it says-
You're fine. Come. We're happy to have you here. All right, for the agenda items for tonight. The Safe Track Safety Assessment Update. We did have our on-site visit on April 24th. They visited every school in Los Osos and Baywood Park. Their report, and they're from UC Berkeley, their report is going to come out in July of this year. So we should have it in another month and a half. Okay. The Los Osos Valley Road Corridor Study is currently being done or being planned by the county right now, and it's going to take 1 year. Do we have a start date?
They're just hiring people right now.
Okay,
so
that's what I thought.
They're kind of getting started.
They are getting started.
Can you
Okay.
define the Los Osos corridor study briefly?
Appropriate.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. The corridor study is a study of Los Osos Valley Road from Foothill all the way to Rodman. We've asked the county to concentrate their efforts in the Los Osos community. And it is a complete streets kind of safety survey combined with a traffic circulation survey. So it takes a long time to do these corridor studies, but we're really putting a lot of pressure on the county to concentrate their efforts on making sure Los Osos Valley Road is safe for people who live in Los Osos.
Any other questions on that? Okay. Public comment regarding safety within Los Osos Baywood for vehicles, bicycles, and pedestrians. I am going to call your name, and if you can come up to the podium so that we can have it recorded, and this information we will be giving to the county. Paulette.
Well, good evening. My name is Paulette Penner, and I live in one of the mobile home senior communities off of Los Osos Valley Road. And I'm here this evening because we're requesting safer driving conditions. I call it in the zone, which is between the State Oak Reserve and South Bay Boulevard. And that's what I'm referring to. The problem, and I know this is a shock to all of you, is that there's a lot of speeding going on up there. And I've come up with a solution, and I've been for the last almost 9 months now working on with the community to get signatures for this petition. The basic problem is the design of the road. If you come either from Morro Bay or from Slow, you're on a single 1-lane highway, which is a 2-lane highway each way. And then you get up to our area and you're on a big 5-lane highway. And at the same time, we're asking drivers to reduce their speed. And that's not logical. And California drivers, we don't think that way. So that's the basic problem in terms of the design of the road, which encourages a lot of speeding. Now, there are two parts to the speeding. One is the speed itself, especially rush hour. people vie to get ahead of a few cars in front of them because they know they're coming down into a single lane, either if they go to Morro Bay or if they go into slow. So that creates a problem. The second part of the speeding problem has to do with the inconsistency associated with the traffic flow. You have these people going minimally between, I'll be generous when I say 50 miles an hour, and the speed limit there's 45. And the seniors that are trying to get out of their parks, and they have to make a turn, and they either make a turn maybe 10 or 20 miles an hour. So you have, and they're trying to, there's no ramp to rev up. So the inconsistency of the traffic is a very serious problem. What I want to address is the fact that we're dealing mostly with seniors, and we have our own, what should I say, problems. And I'm asking the board to look at us as you would people with disabilities. The ADA law requires reasonable accommodation, and that's what we're asking for. Reasonable accommodation by redesigning a little bit the road to slow traffic down. We're either sight impaired, hearing impaired, our reflexes are slowing down. And so we have we are in a high concentration of housing. I estimate about 400 homes just in the 3 major senior parks. And if half of those folks are married, now we're dealing with 600 people that are trying to get on and off Los Osos Valley Road in the course of a day. So that's the problem. And it is predominantly the design of the road, going from 1 lane to 5 lane in a very highly concentrated area. So the solution that I've come up with, and I'm just getting an awful lot of support, is to continue the 2 left lanes the way they are off that median. The median stays the same, and that we have one-way traffic in the left lanes, but then take the right lanes and convert them into turnoff lanes. So there's a place for the drivers, seniors predominantly, who need to get off in a designated lane. Now, this really has been very successful, and it would be very simple to do. It would be low cost, which I know the county would be extremely happy to know that, by just restriping the lane designation and using box dots where appropriate. And then the last thing we're asking is a nice big, like that color, flashing lights when you come in, and we have that going into slow. When we come down, it'll say, slow down, and then they give you the speed limit, but then they have that indicator saying the speed limit is, and you are doing that. So we need the awareness to sort it, and that helps me. I come flying off that nice country road sightseeing, and then all of a sudden I have these inner city requirements. So that's what this is about. We're getting tremendous amount of support. And I do want to comment, the bikers were thrilled with this proposal because they're so close to speeding cars. They couldn't sign up fast enough. So tonight is a very big night for me, as I applaud my community of over 550 signatures I'm giving to Deborah. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, next up, could we have Nancy Owen come to the podium? Oh, please, before we go to Nancy, do we have any comments from the group? Yes,
I'm a bicyclist and a commercial driver, and I totally agree.
thank you.
I've lived in Los Osos about 7 years at this time, but I've been in Los Osos before and in the county 27 years.
Thank you very much.
And I am new and I'm appalled at this.
Lindy.
I believe it will slow traffic down. I've been watching every time I come in and remind myself to slow, that other people just shoot on by, they go around me. If it's closed down to 1 lane, we will all sort of go into the right mode, which is to slowly meet those 45, 35. So I think it's a great idea.
So narrowing the road is called traffic calming, and it's one of the best ways to reduce speed because it makes the vehicles aware that they don't have a lot of room to speed. This is a great suggestion, Paulette. I do worry about seniors pulling out of one of those home parks into the fast moving traffic. And if they want to turn against traffic, they have to go through essentially 3 lanes before they can get going in the right direction. That's not an easy thing for someone even of a younger age. So thank you. And my goodness, over 500 signatures, my dear, you have been busy. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Can I make a small comment?
Sure,
on the
absolutely.
update To this. If, I'm in Sunny Oaks, there is a dip before driving comes up on this hill and where this area is so dangerous. And part of the danger is you cannot see a person. You're trying to get out of the subdivision to turn into town here, and you look, no cars. Well, we're so trained to stop before we pull into that left lane, because all of a sudden there's a car there and you can't see it because of the dip. Now, nothing can be done about it, but it's still there. A lot of things like that. A few of the parks have their own problems, but it's pretty tricky there.
And the problem is that that car is going 50 miles an hour.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
correct. Thank you very much. And just as a reminder, we do have 3 minutes for each person, and then we can have questions after each person has talked. Nancy Owen.
Hi, I'm fairly new to Los Osos, and one of the reasons I moved here is because of the wonderful horse community. I board my horse at Barbie Bringurley Seahorse Ranch, and I was so excited that I was going to be able to ride to the beach. And then when I saw the crossing, you have to go across. It's where Rodman and Pacho Valleys, where most of the equestrian people cross, and the speed of the cars, I have yet to take that trip. I don't know how my horse is going to react to all the traffic. There's really no place to stand. There's no flashing lights. There's a sign that says horse crossing a little bit before that, and people go fast, and it's quite scary. I would love to see something being done to make it safer for those of us that want to ride to make that crossing. And the reason it's really important now is because we've lost access to some of the trails east of Broderson Trail that we used to ride on. And so more and more people are going to be wanting to, if that want to do longer trail rides, will want to take that crossing. We need something there to be safe. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you very much. Are there any additional comments? Yes.
The reason it's unsafe is because it's a blind
Mhm.
curve. Right? And 50 or 60 miles an hour coming out of the park and about 40 or 50 going up. So I crossed there with my 2 horses, one in hand and one underneath me all the time. And people have to slam on their brakes.
There's
And
been fatalities there as well.
Dude, and people walk their dogs, and just older people from Cabrillo Estates are trying to get
Mhm.
to cross that right there to get to the little walk to the eucalyptus grove, basically. And someone's gonna get hurt at some point if a horse gets loose. And a car runs into a horse, people in the car could get killed. So if the car hits a horse, and that's what really bad. That's for everyone.
Okay. All right, Courtney Coleman, please. Come on up.
Well, and okay, I have more.
Thanks. So, I've been riding the Broderson Trail area mostly, off and on for 30 years. I've lived here since the early 90s. I started boarding my horse with Barbie Breen over there in the early 90s and moved up here permanently in 95. So the Broderson area and the Back Bay have always been my trail riding area. And I lived in Slow for about 12 years, but I keep coming back to Los Osos. And it's really hard because I want to keep my 2 horses in shape for being able to take people trail riding, kids and friends. And the area that we have been allotted on Broderson, which is the west side of Broderson, is really not enough to be able to keep your horse in condition to be able to trail ride. And so now our only option, if we want to do distance, is down the slippery Rodman, is this steep 2 blocks that you have to traverse about 2 blocks of flat asphalt on Madera, and then turn right and go down a fairly steep asphalt 2 blocks before you get to the speeding traffic around the curve to try to, so all of it is hairball. I hope nothing bad happens before we get a nice blinking crosswalk or like some blinking signs on either side of that curve warning traffic. It would be great if it just, we could save energy and electricity by just having a button that the dog walkers can push and the equestrians can push that will make it blink when they are going to cross. So traffic knows there is somebody there and they don't always have to be super vigilant. But that was just my first idea off the top of my head. Yeah, I really miss being able to ride Broderson, and I hope that the Fish and Game compromises with us and gives us at least a perimeter trail, or if it's they're sticklers for the erosion issue, that just that bottom part behind the backyards out and back, that would even be way better than what we have now. Because that would be like 15-20 minutes out and 15-20 minutes out back. And that's like 45 minutes to keep your horse in condition in that deep sand. So once you're riding in deep sand, you need to keep them in condition for deep sand. Otherwise you'll have tendon injuries if you're off it and you go back to it. So I take my horses out about every other day.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for hearing us.
Any other questions? Okay, let's go to Jeff. Jeff Gorla. Gerla.
Forgive me, I gotta read it. Good health is wonderful. So Jeff Gurley, a resident here for 52. Excuse me, at least 52 years. Part of that I was up in Parkfield, but most of it here in Los Osos and all the time back here every week for some kind of activity. But I think there was a time some years back where I was part of LOCAC and I was working with the county and our board for 3 key issues for me. One was fire prevention, mitigating the fire hazard that we do we are exposed to. The other was traffic circulation and how do we, since our community didn't get designed with safe bike lanes or safe walking lanes or things of that nature, we're forced to be on the street with the vehicles that are have to admit they're just not as respectful of hikers, bicyclists, or equestrians. So myself, having to bicycle most everywhere that I go, I've been run off the road so many times over the last couple of years, it just scares me to death. And I'm tired of it. And I really respect that your community, your council is listening to that issue. Back in the 90s, when I was part of the board, Mike Wolken and others on the county staff and our board certainly were working on how do we update the Estero land use element and how do we incorporate a traffic circulation plan that would help our community resolve some of these concerns and safety hazards. So as others have spoken, I really would respect some kind of action about a safe crossing at Rodman and some way of slowing traffic, as Paula pointed out, on the entry from the east coming out of San Luis into Los Osos or from South Bay Boulevard. There's no safe lane along those passageways, those roadways for us to travel. And if we're not in a car, we're extremely vulnerable. So thanks for listening.
Thank you very much. Beth Rinke.
Yes. Hello, my name is Beth Renicky, and I will actually reiterate the first and the second and really the third comments. I think having a bike lane on our South Bay Boulevard especially would be so valuable to our community and not just Los Osos, but to Morro Bay and the interconnection of the two. I really feel that the future with climate change should be more oriented toward bicycle traffic, especially if it can be used for commuting. And I think that between Morro Bay and Los Osos, there's a great opportunity for that. The other one, the Rodman light, that would be such an easy thing for us to install there. I have kids that go up to friends' houses up in Cabrillo Estates from where I live in Monarch. And it's always scary for me to think about that crossing in particular because people come out of the Montana de Oro so quickly. But the main reason I'm here, my biggest comment for tonight is actually the Los Osos Valley, or the Los Osos Valley Road between specifically the community center area and Monarch Grove School. That section on the road is completely lacking a safe route for our kids to get from that side. And there are a lot of students that go to Monarch Grove that have to, if they want to walk, they have to go up to what I call the higher streets there. And those also lack sidewalks. So they have to cross a busy road. They have to get up to a place that they're probably either not going to go. And me as a parent, I did not let my kids make that trek until they were over 12. So that right there eliminates a lot of the biking and walking opportunities for our kids. So, which is also really important to get them active at the younger ages and in elementary. So that's my last comment.
Thank you very much. Any comments? Yes.
Yeah, I've ridden South Bay Boulevard on my bicycle like twice in 25 years because it is so sketchy. But I would if there were a green lane and it was a little wider. I would totally ride it to Morro Bay to go to the Sunshine and back.
Thank you, Beth. For those of you who are not aware, this committee has made it a priority for us to build a multimodal, which would include pedestrians and cyclists on Los Osos Valley Road, especially between Monarch Grove Elementary School and the community center, where we have the skate park, the tennis courts, the library, our community center. We want to be able to connect to those areas, but we can't do it unless we have a really safe route. So that is one of our highest priorities. And now that we've become more aware of the Rodman crossing, that has become even one of our most important items to address. So.
And I'm personally on that Rodman Pacho intersection at least twice a day with dog walking. So
And every time you're like this.
I do. And yet yesterday, a truck side mirror was literally 1.5 inches from my shoulder. And I already threw the dog onto the street, but I mean, not the street, but into safety, but couldn't save myself as fast as I saved my dog, but he behaves very well. So.
And horses, it's default on instinct.
Mhm.
So you get a little bit of waving grass over here when a car is coming, it's over.
It's over.
It's just a matter of time before some.
Lisa Chen.
Keep repeating. Right there you go.
It's good. Keep reading.
Yeah. Well, I'm Lisa Shen, a retired school teacher of 35 years from Cayuga School, and I'm an equestrian. I own a horse, and I happen to live on Pacho Valley Road, right around the corner from Rodman. And I'm kind of speaking for the Los Osos equestrian community. There are quite a few of us that are there behind Highland, 3 different barns, and there's some other barns. And I am summarizing our concern over the loss of use of a longtime existing corridor and a trail in the area called Morro Dunes Ecological Reserve. And it's behind Highland. It's up 204, 207 acres, something like that. And this corridor follows the proposed fire break, which would separate homes on Highland from all that open space. And it's provided safe access to the coast of Montana de Oro for many of our barns. I've done it for 32 years, and I know Barbie used to ride with her children to Sunnyside School with her horses on that lower corridor. And like Jeff was saying, as part of the Estero Bay land use element around 1998, it was a multi-use corridor, and it was established, which is now the Morro Dunes Ecological Reserve. And the intention was to enable a trail to provide access from the east side of town to the coast, keeping community members safe from traveling the streets, as well as supporting a possible fuel break, kind of a win-win thing. And we've used it peacefully, horses, hikers. So as part of this habitat conservation plan, no horse signs have been put all over the trails. Yeah, and people are looking at us, and Barbie will address this. You don't belong here now, and just it's crazy. So we've been denied access to a safe corridor that we've had for 50 years, and throwing us onto the streets. I am crossing Pacho the other day. They're drag racing, and I've got a young person on a horse behind me, and I'm literally stop. I had to. I mean, it's just, you think they'd slow down, and I'm right by that horse sign. No one sees that, I don't think. So Los Osos equestrian community, all of us, we're just looking for solutions. We're requesting at least access to our longtime multi-use trail corridor that we've always had, excuse me. And of course, the crossing at Rodman, because we've been thrown onto the streets now. And in the plan that Jeff is talking about, not only did you come down behind Highland Drive, in the plan, you cross kind of there by Seahorse Lane, that lower piece of property. And the last piece, which we don't have yet, is on the Anastasi Corporation property, which is right below me on across from those two water tanks. That would put us right at the crosswalk that's already existing. Right there when you're coming around from the nursery. So is that my timer? Okay, so that's the end. We're just looking for solutions. Thanks.
One quick question on that. I zoned out for just a moment. Where is that path that the equestrians aren't allowed on currently?
It's behind Highland Drive. And it went down Highland Drive, behind Highland, where it's supposed to be a fire break. And then it went up Bayview Heights and then it went around the top. It came down Broderson, Broderson, there's the dirt part, it dead ends, and there's a military road at one point. And that's where that is. And if we could get the parameter trail, we could just do the outside edges. And I have to say, how many times we found homeless people out there, we saved from fires, I mean, we're calling the sheriff, and we monitor that area to maintain the trails.
We'd
Thank
be
you.
happy to maintain our own trails, which is Fishing Game's concern, is they don't want to maintain it. We always maintain our trails anyway.
And the cool thing is Fish and Wildlife is throwing the Habitat Conservation Plan back to the county, so we have a window right now to try and save.
You do. You have a big window right now. So,
Yeah.
and we will definitely bring it up with them also, but now is your time to make the biggest impact is while it's still at the county.
Plus the impact of fire safety.
Correct.
Maintaining that trail could be a huge benefit. to the
It,
tourism.
it very much could be. Deborah.
I have a map I can share with you where that trail is. And just to let you know, I have a meeting tomorrow with the county about the habitat conservation plan and the equestrian trail to try to work out some sort of agreement with them. So I'll keep you posted how that goes.
We pray for you.
If not, I'll go with her. Okay. Barbie Breen Gurley.
Yes. Hi. Really want to thank you all for giving us an opportunity. Some decisions have been made in the past that we honestly didn't even know about until it was too late. We didn't know. So thank you so much. Hopefully I can see this to read to you. My name is Barbie Breen Gurley, and I've been a resident of Los Osos for 52 years. I was initially attracted to the area by its unique beauty and the small town rural beach community that it is, with a very distinctly friendly atmosphere. I've served the community with two professions over the years, one for 43 years as a dental hygienist and the other for over 52 years as an equestrian professional. My husband, Jeff Gurley, also served on LOCAC for 9 years, as well as other community boards and committees. We and many other Equestrians in the community, recently estimated to be around 350 horses, have worked tireless hours through the years to create pedestrian, bicycle, and equestrian access through the community and Montaña de Oro State Park. We also developed the Montaña de Oro State Park Horse Camp that is in existence now. We've put in many hours working to develop and map the community trail circulation plan to maintain equestrian hiking and bicycling pathways for safe passage through the community as well as to the state park and beaches. We've repeatedly seen some success to reaching our community goals, only to find out again and again that our access was again threatened. There are many horses scattered throughout the community, owned by many different folks of various backgrounds, business people, professional people, families, all who support the community's existence and want to recreate with their horses. Equestrian people visit our community, coming in from other areas of our state and beyond. During their stay, they provide economic revenue for many of our community services, hotels, restaurants, businesses, golf courses, bayside activities, and so on. A safe access through our community is essential and very important. The two big issues you've heard over and over: a safe perimeter trail around what is now called the Bayview element of the Morro Dunes Ecological Reserve, and safe crossing near the junction of Rodman and Pacho. A defined perimeter trail, possibly aligned with the community fuel break surrounding the Bayview element of Morro Bay Dunes Ecological Preserve, would preserve the public access that's been present for so many years, while also allowing the community to participate in maintenance of that perimeter. A clearly defined and well illuminated crossing of Pacho will go a long way towards improving the safety of public access. The speed of vehicle traffic is very high and it's very scary. Current conditions for horse pedestrians, bicyclists, and equestrians to walk. Oh, can I just say a couple more
Finish it.
things?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to go as fast as
No,
I
you're
can.
fine.
The
Absolutely
current
fine.
conditions force pedestrians, bicyclists, and equestrians to walk and ride on paved streets, exposing them to vehicle traffic, and there are no well-defined safe lanes for those not driving a vehicle. This condition will lead to more accidents, injury, and possibly loss of life if we don't take action. I must also note, in my many years of riding these trails in this community, I have never seen so much hostility arising between hikers, bicyclists, and equestrians. It used to be a friendly exchange of passerbys with friendly, considerate exchange with one another. But since the California Fish and Wildlife has posted no horses in the Bay, you know what I mean? The atmosphere has changed to a very hostile exchange, and folks walking their dogs, for the most part, don't have dogs on leash. And sometimes the horses are chased by these dogs. I've had several almost accidents. Scary, serious. And people just like look at me and their dog is attacking. We need to be community and think of one another. We've done it for a lot of years, but with these no horses, people, you're on my trail. And I'm like, excuse me, you caused damage. Excuse me. There are trails we've used for 50 years that we still use and are in excellent condition. There is some erosion, as you would expect, on sand, vertically down a hill. And we, as equestrians, will help preserve and maintain safe, flat access. Okay, I'm going to go quick. Yeah, and just having those signs, I guess some people think I've got a banner and you're wrong. I mean, it's just messed up. We're a community. We enjoy where we live. It used to be friendly. And now I am attacked many times aggressively. Really, the other day, someone took my picture. It's like, excuse me. And I just knew it wasn't for anything good.
They say, can't you read? I mean, it's getting.
No, it's ugly.
Yep.
The fact that this equestrian use is less destructive. Well, anyway, there's room for all of us. And I sincerely hope we can find a safe and inclusive solution to the problem, one that honors all our residents who love and enjoy this beautiful environment. Thank you so
very
much.
Barbie. Okay, let's go to Bill Kraut. Sure.
So I don't know if you go there, but Broderson's like the dividing. And we are allowed west of it and the signs are for east of it. The only signs out there are horses prohibited and it's not clear where they're not prohibited. I don't know why they can't put signs on the other side that says horses allowed. So it's clear to everybody where we're allowed to be. We're allowed to be on Broderson. The fishing game told us that. And that's where these altercations have been and it's just wrong.
It's just one of the things that, sorry, the pond became,
Yeah.
Broderson for years, the one vertical, real vertical park cave, that stuff, it's not good footing. I think as equestrians, we would rather not, if that's mostly pedestrian use, which has caused a lot of deterioration, whatever. That's not our favorite. We are there because everything else is denied. And then we're trying to get down Broadman.
Right.
Cars
No, we completely understand what you're saying.
They flip us
Yep.
off. I mean, it's just wrong.
No,
It's
we
wrong.
we
And it forces us to
understand.
set up an unsafe situation.
All right, thank you. Bill. Thank you for waiting.
No, actually, I was, I was parked over there for at least 3 hours, so I should have been first here. I'm joking. Got to liven things up here. I love horses. I have ridden horses. And I agree with everything you've said about the animosity in this community. Now, I live on the north side of town, Santa Isabel. I want to address the speed on Santa Isabel. A little history. The speed humps you see on Santa Isabel, I was responsible for those along with another neighborhood volunteers. Goes back 20 years ago. We hired a Cal Poly professor, urban design. We have blueprints. We had a beautiful design. LOCAC said, yes, we agree. This is 20 years ago. As soon as the sewer goes in, we'll get traffic calming, as you mentioned. Particular to your design, we were ecstatic. Sewer came in. Oh, no, actually the sewer didn't come in. They went ahead with the traffic calming and the mess you see out in Santa Isabel. It's a boondoggle. We raised over $600,000 in grants from the federal government and the state of California. And we had matching funds. So we were close to $1 million to get traffic calming on Santa Isabel. What I see out there and what you drive across is maybe $100,000 worth of asphalt and some cement. I'm sorry, the speed humps. So that's the history. And I'm proud to say I was responsible for being part of that group. But I'm embarrassed to say that the mess that you see out there shouldn't be out there. So I am now an avid dog owner. And if I had a horse, I would be walking my horse down Santa Isabel as well. The speed from 7th Street down to 2nd is just too fast. It's just too high. It should not be 35 miles an hour. It should be at least 25 miles an hour. I get the same story from the county. It's a collector street, blah, 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 blah. When you have people walking on either side of Santa Isabel, out for a stroll or walking their dogs, it's dangerous. It's just dangerous. The speed tables or humps or bumps or what do you want to call them? I just see people hit it at 35 miles an hour or 40. They're not even slow. They hit it. And so it needs to be redesigned, especially the one on 7th. People come down the hill, go up. Do I have a few more seconds?
A few more seconds.
And they hit that speed hump on 7th and they just keep rolling down to 2nd Street. If you notice on Santa Isabel, since I walk it every day, the road is kind of pitched to the right. So the cars tend to drift into over that white line to where I'm walking. And so I would like the county to address getting traffic slowed on Santa Isabel, specifically from 7th to 2nd, at least put the speed limit to 25 miles an hour. Nobody needs to get from 7th to 2nd 5 seconds faster because they're going 35 plus miles an hour. I know they're going to do a traffic study. They always do this. And then they come back and say, well, this is Collector Street. I'm as frustrated with the traffic on Santa Isabel as you are as equestrians over here on the south part of Los Osos. So I'm a squeaky wheel again 20 years later, and I'd like to see the traffic slowed specifically from 7th to 2nd. The speed humps, that's another meeting that I would like to address as well. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Thank you for your comment. This is the first, you're the first person to really bring this to our attention. So I hope you will continue to come to our meetings. We meet every month, usually on Zoom, not in person. And we would welcome to have more conversation with you about Santa Isabel.
Yeah. As I said, it's been 15, 20 years. Jan used to head up that committee and used to meet over the South Bay Community Center. So, yeah.
What happened to the money?
We asked for an audit and we got shut down. We asked for oversight, and I'm not a conspiracy wacko or paranoid, but we think that the money got just put into the general funds and then was parsed back out rather than to traffic circulation or so forth. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, can we move on to Robert? Oh, sorry.
I just wanted to say real quick, when you set a speed limit, people drive 10 miles an hour fast. They do.
Mhm.
We all know that.
In the back.
I have to reinforce, I'm new to this community, I've been 50 years, which is 3 years. And when I had this petition going on and people were signing it, everybody was saying the same thing. All the streets, people are driving beyond the speed. It's a trademark of the town. And I'm hoping if we could do what I'm hoping to do by me, we might be able to do that in other communities, because I sort of have the system down. But everybody, they just said, where do I sign? Well, it was the easiest thing, but it's the whole town.
All right, thank you. Kathy?
I don't know if my paper got lost or not.
No, you're going to be,
I'm not in a hurry. I don't
you-
like to
Then
publish
Robert.
it.
no, you are actually next on my list. Yeah.
I really don't like to public speak.
That's okay. You get to tonight, though.
Must be important.
My name is Kathy Torcazo. I've been in Los Osos 35 years now. I've run, cycled, maybe ridden a horse a couple of times, hiked all over this town and all over Montana de Oro. I've lived in, also, I feel like I'm preaching to the choir. We thank you guys. We're all in the same boat. I think we all agree. But I've been in Cabrillo for 30 years now. Can't tell you how many times I've crossed that street. The thing I want to bring up to you guys is, I know that was about 3 years ago, didn't the county come out and do a study at the end of that intersection? And
Or a crosswalk. Yes, they,
had somebody count
Yes.
or whatever.
yeah, all of us with kids. they
Yes.
Wanted a crosswalk there.
Yes,
Not
and
me
as
personally.
a cyclist, I went by there every day. I go by that intersection 5 days a week. And I remember seeing the guy out there, and it was a Tuesday or something. And he did his study, and I think he said that, we didn't justify
Not enough
lights,
people.
crosswalks or whatever. I guess my thought now is, as someone who spends 5 days a week in Montana de Oro, the amount of traffic out there is astronomical. And maybe getting the state park involved, because I know those rangers will testify to the fact that on a weekend or a holiday, there are no parking spaces left by 10 o'clock. During the week, if you get there before 10, there's plenty of parking. But my point being that on a weekend or a holiday, by 10 o'clock, the place is packed, which means the cars are driving up and down there. This brings me to the incident with Bonnie Newman 6 weeks ago. I know you're aware of that. Woman got hit at the bottom. Well, actually, she did not get hit, by the grace of God. She tripped. It was a Sunday morning, about 10:30 or 11 in the morning. I was coming back down from Pet Show from the park. and I'm a string of cars and there's a string of cars going in. And I come to the intersection and there's people stopped and everything and all hell is breaking loose, and I stop and I see my neighbor laying in the street. And I can't tell you how terrifying that was. And she's there with her 2 dogs, and luckily she's okay. She broke a nose, had concussion, was a bloody mess, but she could have been killed. I mean, easily. When I looked at what was going on with where the cars are parked, by the grace of God, she is okay. But my point being is, I think maybe if we could get the state park at least to document or write something up saying just what the traffic is like out there, I think that would be a better example
I think that's a great idea.
of what really goes on there. Because yeah, there's times a day when there's very few people out there, but that doesn't happen very often.
Not
And-
since COVID.
Yeah, and just
since
crossing that street,
It's dangerous.
I still consider myself young and spry, and it's still a big problem.
Just to reinforce what he's talking about, this is part of why we wanted the kiosk there. It wasn't so much.
Yeah,
about
I think a kiosk
park
would be great.
access, but it was about traffic control
Mhm.
to slow people down.
You mean a kiosk
Yeah,
at the
kiosk.
park? A kiosk at the park is what you're
Well,
talking
somewhere in
about?
the vicinity of Pagel and Rodman, so that as you pass that intersection, you've got a reason to slow down. As you
Yeah.
mentioned a little bit ago.
They talked about that 25 years ago, and there's many reasons why the state park feels they can't do that unless things have changed. I think it would be tremendous. They could charge $5 a car and make a tremendous amount of money, and we could buy a yearly pass like most state parks. But I think a lot of it has to do with, there's a traffic issue with the cars going in and then saying, oh, wait a minute, I don't want to pay the $5. I want to turn around, or it's full. We can't have anybody in, getting those people to turn, that was the issue. I think they talked about putting it up by horse camp. And
Yeah,
I mean, I agree with it, but I think that's a hard battle.
But because we have like an exponential amount of traffic increase in our county, ever since Oprah said it was the happiest place on earth.
You should have said Montecito. That's where she lives,
So
Yeah.
I want to thank you. I have been in touch with Bonnie. I have photographs of her from her accident. Very frightening what happened. And that intersection is unquestionably our biggest concern.
I also, years ago, witnessed a young child coming down Broadman on his way to school on a bike, and his brakes went out. He went shooting through that intersection. Luckily, it was 8 o'clock in the morning, and there just happened to not be another incident where he crashed in the dirt where the horses used to be. And but that.
Yeah.
Anybody, it's a blind corner, as somebody said, and it's really. I
Yeah.
don't know what to. I know you
It's-
guys are just
it's-
fighting with the county.
Kids want to ride their bikes there.
Yeah.
Adults want to ride their bikes there.
And we have a
People
lot
want
more
to
kids in
ride.
Cabrillo now than we ever did before. So there's a lot of kids riding down that hill on bikes.
Yeah. there's
But-
no
And
one for
they're
them to do it.
kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, and they're on these little tiny bikes. So
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have.
Back up to Travis Drive, because I live up there. There's always somebody trying to cross right there, whether it's a dog walker or an elder or a kid. It's just tons of, I've even seen horses.
So
Me, I do the horses there. too, Like, I live on Water.
I have been meeting with the Bicycle Advisory Committee, which is the committee in charge of creating bike paths for the county. And last week we met and I did a presentation showing them how important it would be to put a bike pathway into Montana de Oro for the parking reason and for the safety reason for cyclists. The Yelp put out a review of the top 50 state parks in April of this year. Montana de Oro was number 9. More and more people are coming to the state park. And we need to be smart about how we accommodate people coming in and out. So the county's aware of it, the bikeways is aware of it. It always comes down to money. So, you know, we just have to build up enough pressure that we can create the momentum to move forward.
Right on that, Robert.
Thank you for this discussion today and talking about what I was going to talk about. And I thought, well, I'd be here and nobody will want to talk about the crosswalk at Rodman and Pacho Valley Road. So I'll keep my conversation here very short. A few weeks ago, I was driving down Rodman. I live on Rodman, driving down Rodman to Pacho Valley Road. And I came to the end of Rodman, and there was a young woman with her son standing at the corner there. They were holding hands, waiting to go across. She looked at me and I gave her the sign. I said, go ahead, you know, and so she looked both ways twice. And she put her foot out and the kid put his foot out and they started to cross the road. At that moment, a car came whizzing around the corner and came past us. It was a white sheriff's car. And he looked at the woman. The woman reacted very quickly and got back up on the curb. And he looked and he drove past. Didn't stop, didn't blink an eye. That's kind of a sad situation.
Is it Park Service?
Hmm?
Park Service sheriff?
No, it was well, I don't know. It was sheriff's symbol on the side and it was a white car. That's all I know. You know, I've gone down Pacho Valley Road and I've looked at this since then a number of times. And there's that 35-mile-an-hour blinking light on the curve after the school. And then there are no more speed signs until you cross the sign that says Montana de Oro Park. It's a 40-mile-an-hour. And I agree that the speed and the number of people coming there has increased exponentially because of the popularity of the park. So without saying much more, my time's almost up. I think something needs to be done. I like the idea of putting a flashing light there when people are crossing because it is really blind. I mean, I looked at it, it's about, you see the crosswalk sign, but you don't see Rodman until you're about 30 feet in front to that. And that's dangerous if you're going 40 or 50 miles an hour. Thank you.
It's a lot of people not from here.
Yep.
They don't even know there's gonna be a neighborhood street right there.
Debbie, that day we went out and met you, you remember a big truck like a truck in the back flew by there making a lot of noise, just so fast. So it's not just vehicles, it's also big.
Right,
big
because
trucks. And they drag race.
when you're coming from the park, you're coming downhill. So people are going fast. And when you're coming towards the park, you're going uphill. So you're speeding up. So yeah, it is an issue. And so we've got to find a solution.
Signage that's leaving the park that says, you know, like sometimes they'll say there's a road or slow down.
You're going into a residential area.
I don't think so.
No, there is not.
I wish I could say that signs like that make a difference, but there is a crosswalk at Vista de Oro. It's well signed. And I've seen people walk into that crosswalk and almost get hit because the cars are going so fast and they don't have to stop every day. And so they just think, oh, I'm just going to go up that hill. And, oh, oops, there happens to be a person in the crosswalk. So, yeah, it's
always flashing.
yeah. So a sign, in other words, my point is a sign doesn't necessarily, you know, make.
But
the
it would be a
difference.
start.
I think it's really adjusting.
Okay, we have a question in the very back first.
It's different nowadays, way back.
Sorry.
Just a comment on speed posting and so forth. So you're absolutely right, even if it's posted 25, whatever, people are always gonna go above that. The reality is the only way you're gonna get people to slow down is through enforcement. And I understand the only people out here writing tickets for speeding is CHP.
Correct.
So, you need to put the fear of God into people, and one way is to write tickets, but CHP is not gonna dedicate people.
There's just not enough of them. That's the problem.
That is going on, which is also down, so forth and so on. So the reality is you can post as many signs as you'd like. It only puts fear into people when they see people getting a ticket written.
Well,
That's just.
you know what? We can definitely talk to both the sheriff and the highway patrol. They come to all of our LOCAC meetings. We can talk to them and say, can you do a speed trap on this weekend, that weekend, just to start getting the word around? There's only 2 of them, and they go from Avila to Ragged Point. So it's, but they could probably do a special something, I'm hoping. So we will ask that.
Have you considered doing some kind of traffic pump on
Mhm.
like a speed bump? God forbid that should happen, but you go down Pine, there's all those speed bumps there. That really slow people down.
So they're not allowing speed bumps anymore, speed humps. I was told by Josh Roberts with Public Works that they no longer use speed bumps because it's a problem for the fire trucks. And so they're not using that anymore. Yeah, but
Yeah, I've heard the same thing. Michael Simpson, who's the
Mhm.
president, said they tried to get speed bumps because people fly.
Mhm.
And it's part of it's natural because you're going really steep.
Right.
But I really go fast, and said they wouldn't put it in, so they lowered the speed from 35 to 30.
To 30.
Yeah, but it still doesn't stop it.
Not all residentials are supposed to be 25. I was surprised it was 30.
It's considered a collector street, so that's why it's. That's
Yeah.
the excuse they use.
Yeah,
Collector street, even though the street is filled with residential homes opening onto the road.
Yeah.
And there's no in particular. And I've heard this for 25 years. I'm sad to hear this again as an excuse that the county is not going to do anything with speed humps. We didn't even want speed humps, we wanted speed tables. Fire trucks got plenty of clearance, and so they get to where they're going twice in the facility. It's important, but it's a consideration, and the fire guys have a point, that we've got to find a balance.
Okay, Lindy Owen. You've got 3 minutes.
Hey, I'll be brief. I wasn't prepared I didn't know that was to speak on an issue that concerned us. I live on 10th Street right below the liquor store and the Sylvester's. And that is a pedestrian walkway. It's majorly used by a lot of low income housing in the area. People that love to walk up. We're only 3 blocks from downtown. I have asked the county to do something about the flooding problem there, because when it rains hard enough, and it's usually this year was, I think, 5-6 times, there is no pedestrian access. There's no bicycle access unless you want to run your bike through, a half a foot of water. And it has been going on for the 7 years that the sewer was installed. So there were design flaws, and somehow the water comes further down than it was originally designed to turn and curve at Santa Ynez. So, so the county basically said that we need to protect ourselves. It's not their job to keep their street water flooding stream off of our properties. We have to go put the berms in. And that is not true. It's their water, and it's not supposed to invade our property with the way the streets are designed. So I feel that's minimal compared to what you guys are dealing with, but that is, again, the county just choosing to ignore some of our real simple issues. I also think it's a little bit dangerous at Santa Ynez, going up to the sheriff's department. That is almost like a blind corner, and I don't know what it is, but I've heard probably 4 or 5 accidents in the last several years, and I actually got hit. I was coming down 10th, and the person coming up Santa Ynez towards the sheriff's station completely ran the stop sign. So it's just another area that maybe needs marking. And I do think that maybe we could start looking at lower speed bumps, or the ramps, I think you called them. When they're marked a little bit, people freak out. When they live here, they may ignore them. But again, the fire department and safety vehicles may be able to get over those a little easier. So maybe there's a compromise that we could have a few of those put just to remind people, because if you hit it, you slow down. And then hopefully going around that blind corner, you'll have a little warning lights and things. So anyway, that's all. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments, questions? Okay, we're gonna tally all of this, do some minutes, work with the county. Deborah has all of these comments from
The petition.
the petitions, the emails, everything that have come to her. So we will be compiling all of that and getting it out to the county, working with Public Works and everyone else and the supervisors to see what we can do. Yes.
On the 25th, you're on the agenda to do a 10 minute PowerPoint with the Zoom meeting. Should we still plan doing that?
With who?
Everything else with the LOCAC on your agenda.
Oh, you're on the agenda.
I put the agenda together. I've never,
Not this month. No.
Oh,
We can put you on next. month.
oh, okay. No, it's first I've heard of it and I put the agenda together and I'm the chair, so
we were told that we.
okay.
I didn't get you on the, okay, but we could get you on the agenda.
So June,
Might not even need it by then, the way things are going.
Let's see.
Well, and to show up again and all talk again is
Mhm.
good every time. No matter
every
what,
time.
Until we get a compromise or, help. And we can get a lot more signatures on our end for Los Osos equestrian community.
But one thing that I would really suggest is go to the Board of Supervisor meetings. Every public person in the county gets 3 minutes. If you don't let the Board of Supervisors know and they don't start pushing, nothing happens in this county.
Wow. They're Tuesdays and slow at the library area.
They're on, yeah, you go onto their website and you can sign up either by Zoom and you can put in your questions or stuff, or you can go in person. I type in Board of Supervisors, SLO County, and boom, it comes up.
It's one Tuesday a month.
I think it's 2 Tuesdays a month now. But that I think is the best way. So put a lot of heat on them that way. We'll put heat on them our way. And then between all of us, we hopefully can get some stuff done.
Squeaky wheel.
Yes.
I feel lucky. I feel like this was a very synchronous meeting tonight with everybody chiming in on the same. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Meeting adjourned.